We are live. Hey everybody, Gerda Mala here. How are you going? I am out here getting some sun rays, sunshine, and getting my hit of vitamin D for the day. I've spent most of the morning inside down on the bottom deck of the houseboat I'm currently staying in until tomorrow. This is our last night. And I've been spending the whole morning working away, working on my static diary, working on some branding stuff for my website. Hey Amber, how are you? And I also spent some time with my inner circle, and I noticed a discussion that has popped up in our group, and I thought, good excuse to go and sit in the sunshine, to wag from working downstairs around the big table where everybody's sitting with their laptops, and come and talk to you guys. If you are hopping on, please say hi, say hello. Like, I can see Amber is here, but I don't know who the other two people are. And whilst we maybe wait for one or two more people to join us, I'll show you my view. So this is what I can see, and I'll just move my phone a bit around. Isn't this lovely? We are currently docked here because I'm going for some coffee with one of our group members who practice here from Mildura. So of course we're gonna meet up, and I'm doing that later this afternoon, and then we're going out for dinner, and then tomorrow we're flying back home. And I of course need to fly Mildura, Melbourne, Brisbane, Bundaberg, and then I need to drive 90 minutes and then I'm home. But it is most certainly worth it. So let's talk about this topic of discussion. And I noted, because I note everything in the group, don't think I don't notice, I noted a bit of a discussion ensuing in one of the threads around, basically the gist of it is, should the principal psychologist at your practice, or principal speech pathologist, principal OT, whatever the word is that you use in your specific discipline, should they be charged out at a higher rate than the rest of the team? Okay, now I wonder, have you actually considered this? I do know, because I know a lot of you, that yes, quite a number of you actually practice this, right? And it's so interesting also that just probably 2-3 weeks ago, we had this exact same discussion in my Next Level Mastermind group, which is my paid monthly membership group, and we really went into so much depth about this topic. But I do want to share with you guys my thoughts and my thinking on this as well. So, and to tell you, of course, what I do, right? So of course, you know, when I started my practice and I started to bring other practitioners on board, when I got my first practitioner on board, I just charged them out at exactly the same rate as I was being charged out, because I thought, you know, I'm no better than they are. They might even have better clinical skills than I do. Hello, imposter syndrome. You know, their CV looked really great. They had amazing experience. I was still relatively new to the country, and I thought, there's no ways. Of course, I'm going to charge them exactly the same as what I charge. And I did that for quite a number of months, okay? And then I came across this really sticky problem that a lot of people come across. But let's just have a quick intermission break as I show you my beautiful swans. Aren't they pretty? It's 2 black swans, and each time I look at it I go, oh, your lipstick is so pretty. They've got this red and white lipstick on their beaks. Anyhow, I digress, but it's always good to take a moment to enjoy nature. Anyway, so after a couple of months, after I hired my first 2 clinicians, I started to notice this issue that I was having, right? I brought them on board to help me look after the immense number of clients that I was being referred. But what was happening, clients were consistently going, no, doctor said that I need to see Gerda, I'm going to wait to see her. And even though we had other clinicians at the ready waiting, you know, to take on clients, so I had to do something, right? And I followed a 2-prong approach. approach. So the first and most important thing that you need to do if you are having that issue, for example, is to ensure that you train your front desk in selling the other people. Now, it actually becomes harder if you have hired 1 or 2 team members. Hey, Salema, welcome. But you are still the one answering the phone and taking, the calls and doing the triaging. It's gonna bite you in the butt, because just the fact that you're the one talking with the clients are gonna make them less willing to see the other clinicians, because it's already the start of a relationship. Even though you might not have your clinician hat on, you've got your reception hat on, they're talking to you. You sound nice. You sound maybe exactly like Doctor said you're gonna sound. You've got such a soothing voice. Oh, I wanna see you. No, I don't wanna see the other people. Right? That's the stuff that goes on in our clients' minds. And then they insist on sitting on the wait list. And we all know how it feels to have a wait list. It bothers us, right? Because those clients need to be seen. There's not a lot of things that still bother me as a business owner, but the one thing that always bothers me is the darn wait list, because to me, those aren't numbers, those aren't just names, those are people not getting the help they deserve, which is in direct opposition to my mission and vision of helping more people in better ways. So step 1 is to train the front desk. So ideally you want to get a front desk, because if you're taking the calls, it's gonna backfire on you, right? For reasons I've just explained. So you need to get a front desk, and you need to train them in how to convert these clients into being okay with seeing the other team members. You need to teach the front desk how to draw that line in a really nice way, and how to really advocate for the client to put their mental health first by not putting their mental health on hold and saying, yes, that I'm going to see this other person, although doctor referred me to Gerda, for example, in this instance. Now, I'm not going to talk to you today about how that training works. Now that I think of it, that might actually be a great live stream for the lovely Ash to do in the Halo Practice Management Facebook group. Hey, Marianne. Yes, I know. So I thought I'll come and answer it here. So I hope this is helpful for you. You've just missed my initial entry. So if it doesn't make sense to you, when I get to the end, Marianne, please listen to the first 5 minutes as well. Hey, Daniel, how are you? So that's the first part. So remember I said 2-prong approach. That's the first part. Mental note, Gerda, to tell Ash to do a live stream on how to train your front desk to take clients referred to you in your name and give it to your team. But that was the problem I was having at the time. So that's the one thing I did. And then the other thing that I did was to go, okay, I'm going to increase my own fees. And this was hard to do, right? Because it comes into that whole mindset thing of, well, I'm not better than my clinicians, right? I don't know, I've had so many clinicians over the years, and some of them were more experienced than me, some were more qualified than me, some were less experienced than me, some were more experienced than me. So it wasn't about that comparison, right? It wasn't about comparison between who's got the best dropout rates or the best retention rates. Those things didn't come into play at all. What did come into play was the fact that as the practice owner, I've got a clinical caseload and I want to give them my best, right? However, as the practice owner, I've got this laundry list of other jobs, duties, and chores and things that I need to do to keep the wheels turning, right? I need to do marketing. I need to do networking. I need to work on the website. I need to orientate and induct and supervise and look after and support my team. I need to make sure reception knows what they're doing. I need to ensure the billing is done properly and check the diary and make sure reception does their job. I need to check the numbers, run the KPIs. I need to check how's our customer service, and the list just goes on and on and on and on, right? So for me, I had to ensure that I have the time to actually do that work, the practice management work and the practice development work, without feeling that pressure of consistently being the one taking on more clients, taking on more clients because I don't want them to sit on a wait list, and they don't want to see my team because I've built up this reputation, because I've been the one out there doing the marketing, doing the networking, doing the meet and greet. So obviously the GPs have a relationship with me, right? So I really had to tell myself that the problem I'm solving is filling the clinician diaries, getting people on the wait list to get help in faster and therefore better ways, rather than sitting on a wait list. And it allowed me to have the time to actually keep the wheels turning, and for me to keep building the business, which ultimately will help us help more people in better ways without me having to sacrifice my salary or my wage, because I still need to pay my bills, right? I still need to look after my kids. I've got a husband, I've got 3 kids, they're expensive, all of that type of stuff. And I can't tell you what a difference it made. I increased my own fees with $20, which meant that now when clients were calling up and they really wanted to see me, what reception would do is do their thing as I trained them at that time to encourage them to see the other clinician. They would quote the other clinician's fee, right? And then if they really insisted, then reception as part of that conversation would go, there's a long wait list for Gerda. Her fees are X amount of dollars, which would be more. So, it would be really good for you to consider just starting with so-and-so, and really so that we can get this ball rolling for you, right? And you know what? There were still people that went, no, happy to wait for Gerda. However, we were able to get a lot of people converted to see the other clinicians, which ultimately helped me to reach 3 of those goals that I mentioned earlier, right? So that is what it is about. It's not about saying my clinician team has a discounted rate. That's not what it is. Their rate is their rate, and we increase their rate regularly, right? But I've got an increased rate. I've got a higher rate because I still need to do all these other tasks. So if you think about it, if my Microsoft Word packs up on my laptop and I want it fixed, I can probably pay Bill Gates maybe $25,000 for 5 minutes to hop on the phone with me and fix it for me, right? Or I can get it done for free by one of their support people. That's just how it is. Because Bill's focuses on other stuff, building the business, and that's his priorities. Maybe every now and then he might walk into a MS office and dabble in some software support to keep his finger on the pulse. I don't know what he does, but I'm just making a comparison. And we need to remember that we are business, and it is important that you as the business owner look at yourself in that role as a principal. I'm just gonna move out of the sun, guys. I'm like so hot, so warm. Hang on, I'm gonna move here. There you go. Much better, much better. You need to do what you need to do in order to get the clients the help they need, fill up your clinicians, and give you the space to do what you need to do as the practice owner, i.e. have the time to work on the business functions. Okay, you do not want to be one of those psychologists or whatever your discipline is. I just always say psychologist because that's what I am. That gets to the age of 17, you still need to work and see clients because you didn't run your practice as a business. I've seen that so often, and it is so very sad. Of course, if that's what you want to do, that's okay. But I would want for each and every one of you the choice and the freedom to either continue to see clinical clients until the day you die or not. But either way, still be looked after financially. Either way, not have to worry about money and have that time and financial freedom. And you can only do that if you run your practice as a business. So at my practice, we most certainly charge more for my clinical psychologist. I've got a laundry list of stuff that she needs to do. Well, she doesn't have a list of things to do. She does everything. She is literally the principal psych in charge of the whole practice. She does everything that I did when I was still the principal. and she needs to have time to spend on that. We also charge more for our senior associates. The reason why we charge more for them is because we have a structured career progression pathway at the practice. So there's quite a number of you that is coming to the May Masterclass that's happening in Brisbane. So when you come to Masterclass, I actually take you through our entire career progression pathway, and charging more for our senior associate is one of the many aspects that goes into that. And of course, it's like any job, right? Most workplaces don't know, my grammar's giving in. Most workplaces, plural, have a career progression pathway. If you don't have it, guess what? People are just going to move along to somewhere else most of the time after 2-3 years, because there's nothing else that pushes them to achieve and to accomplish stuff and to better themselves and to grow and to make a contribution. And I think as an industry, we are really lagging behind offering that. If you do have a career progression pathway, if you've done my masterclass, you most certainly have one. Maybe you've been very innovative, you've got something amazing that you do, and if you do, I want to congratulate you, because that is what we need to do. So that has always come into play as well. And then we have our regular rates. I think it's really important because it also gives our clients a menu of choice, right? What I will say is that when a client rings up and asks to see a psychologist, let's say if it's somebody that was just referred to the psych professional, so doctor didn't say go and see so-and-so. If doctor said go and see so-and-so, we will move heaven and earth to book you with said person, right? But if it was just a general referral, reception's not going to hop on the phone and say, these are the 3 people to choose from, these are their different rates. So we do not sell our psychologists or our services based on fees. It's irrelevant. We talk to the client, and again, that's what the reception does. This is part of their role. They triage the phone call. So even if a client were to call up and say, my doctor gave me a referral, just ringing around to find out how much it costs, we're not going to give them a cost. We're first going to ask them, okay, well, it depends on who you see at the practice and when your appointments are. So what we like to do at the Psych Professionals is make sure that we match you with the correct psychologist, the one that has the skills and competencies and knowledge to help you with what it is that is happening for you. So if you don't mind telling me in 2 sentences what the reason is, why you need a psychologist, then I can find the best clinician to help you through this. And then they will tell us what it is, and then we will triage, i.e. match them with the right psychologist, and we will only quote the rates and applicable, if so, rebates for that specific psychologist, because it's not our job to confuse the client. Because if I'm going to your reception's going to quote 3 different types of rates, the client's going to be confused, and a confused mind always says no, or they're going to say, I'm going to think about it, and then that person's not going to take action on getting the help they need, right? So you want to make that clear. You want to follow a triage process. And I've touched on so many different topics, as I normally do, just by starting this one discussion. And I guess that's the thing, right? Things in business are all interrelated. Nothing happens in isolation. You make a change in this one area, it impacts 5 other different areas, which is why you really need to know what you're doing. Oh, I can't read. Amber says, I'm so glad you've said this, Gerda. I'm $50 per hour more than my other clinicians. As you should be, Amber. Hey, Hannah. Hey, Kirsten. Hey, Denise. Denise says, can we hire Halo for... we can hire Halo. Yes, she can, most certainly. We do have a wait list for Halo at the moment. The first that we can take on new clients is the 1st of June, because we are onboarding a number of practices during the month of March, April, and May. And me and my 2 co-founders, Ash and Charles, we have sworn to ourselves that we are not going to grow too fast, because we have seen what happens when businesses grow too fast. Their customer service goes down the toilet, and that will not be happening to us. So if you're already a client, you are very lucky. If you're coming on board, you're very lucky, and so are we. We just have the best clients at Halo Practice Management, and you know, it is our focus at Halo is to be an extension of the practice team. But that is another topic altogether as well. All right, so have a think about this, guys, and I would truly encourage you to be charging at least $20 more than the rest of your team if you are the principal psychologist. Okay, I know of some practice owners that's way more. Like Amber, she said she's $50 more, right? That's perfectly okay. But $20 is the minimum, and maybe when you start doing that, you will start to go, okay, this is actually good. The sky didn't fall in. Everything is still hunky-dory. I will also tell you that we have never, ever had clients complain about the fact that the principal is more expensive, or complain about the fact that the senior psychologists are more expensive. People are happy because they're paying for a senior person, or they're paying for a principal, right? It's just like at the hospital, you know, you have your consultant, you have a registrar, and they probably charge people different amounts of money if they were private, right? And he says, I'm $50 more. Also, I'm using APS rates. Well, there you go. There you go. And clients, if they value the service, they value their mental health, they will pay it. I've actually, you know, and this is how these things go, right? I've actually spoken to practice owners that told me, you know what? People actually are now even more determined to see me, because there's a perception that if you're more expensive, you're better, or there's greater value. You know, but like I said, that for me has never been the motivation behind it. The motivation has always been, how do I get people to say yes to getting the help that they need? How do I ensure that my clinical team, my clinician team, many of whom have been subcontractors, have clients in their diaries, right? They want to earn a living. If they don't see clients, they don't get paid. So I want them to see clients, right? I feel like I have an obligation, although I don't, because they're not my employees, but I still feel, you know, inside, not in my head, my brain tells me that this is a business-to-business relationship and they need to get their own clients. But my heart says that I want to support them as much as I can, right? So I want to ensure that their diaries are as full as possible, and I want to have the time and the opportunity to work on my business. And if I don't do things like this in a transparent and ethical way, then I'll always stay on the hamster wheel. That is unfortunately just how it is. All right, so lots and lots of food for thought there, everybody. If you've jumped in halfway towards the end, please be sure to watch the whole of it. If you're watching the replay, put in hashtag replay, share your comments, your thoughts, your experiences. Thanks to Denise and Amber, that's already shared with us how much they charge. And really put your reflection hat on and really ask yourself, what needs to happen for you to start charging more for you as the principal psychologist or principal whatever at your practice, or if you have somebody in that role, okay? Because there's really nothing holding you back other than your own thinking about this topic. Alrighty, thanks for joining me. I will speak to you again soon, and until then, all you need to do, of course, is say yes to your very own ultimate level 5 private practice. Bye for now.